arms wide open. Imagine the size of that sing-along.
As long as they do it right, they don't frame it as Linkin Park, they frame it as Linkin Park with someone.
What's mental about Sleep Token? The second band on the second stage of the Download pilot to then coming back the next time and headlining the whole joint.
When Nickelback come out for their Donington headline maiden appearance.
I feel like they're the kind of band that when announced, everyone will be hating the lineup. You look at the comments, everyone will hate it. But as soon as you're actually at the festival, I don't think you'll get a bigger crowd. I think everyone will go just to see Nickelback.
Oh, I think Download's a great festival. I think it's amazing. I think we could definitely hold our own there for sure because we are a rock band first and foremost. If they called and they wanted to do it, that'd be fine.
We have barely washed the mud off from Download 2024, and Download 2025 rumors and silly season is already kicking off. We're going to have a look today at who we think could potentially be playing Download 2025. I'm Dewsbury from Primordial Radio. Joining me right now from the Jon Mahon Show, the man himself. John, how are you?
I'm very good, bro. All the better for seeing your face.
Yeah, likewise, man. And also off of TikTok, if you're on metal TikTok, you must have seen that One Edgy Kid. Hey up, Edgy, you all right, mate?
Oh, yeah, apart from roasting the arse off. Brilliant.
Now, we're sat here, and then we realised that John has a fan in his studio. He looks like he's in a Steel Panther video.
Yeah, man. Channeling my inner John Bon Jovi right now. I'm halfway there.
Right, so we'll start off with the caveats, right? None of us are affiliated with Live Nation. None of us know anything. We're not insiders. I don't know. And actually, no, I think I do know Andy Copping's mate's decorator.
That's it. I'm going to discredit your opinion now.
I genuinely do know Andy Copping's mate's decorator, but that's a completely different thing. So there's no spoilers possible because we know nothing. All we're doing is some slightly educated guesses and trying to figure some stuff out. I think we can start with bands that we know will not be playing Download 2025. Anybody want to kick us off?
Well, I think we can already say that a lot of the classic rock and metal bands are kind of out there, although there was a part of me that's thinking Iron Maiden next year just because of the whole, is it like 50 year or something? But I'm not, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think it's too soon. I think if a band has played Download multiple times in that headline slot, I think it's over for next year of doing that.
I think that is. So we could take off, of course, Maiden you mentioned there. Now, here's the thing, right? Maiden and Metallica are kind of on a par age-wise. You know, they were both there very early 80s, late 70s in Maiden's case. But for some reason, I always think that Metallica have managed to change it up and stay current in a way that Maiden, I don't think, have. Does anybody else get that feeling, or is it just me?
Personally, looking at both of those bands, I think they're now at the stages of their career where doing a Wembley Stadium is more appealing than headlining a festival. I feel like, especially with Metallica did the double bubble, not this year, the year prior. That, for me, like headlining Download twice in the same weekend, how many bands can say that they fucking done that? Yeah. For me, like it doesn't get bigger or better than that. So for Metallica, I think they're more stadium band route now. And with Maiden, again, like if they are doing a big 50-year celebration next year, it makes more sense for me for them to rent Wembley Stadium on a Saturday. It means that people who are of the older side of their fan base don't have to take any time off work. They can drive to London, watch the gig and drive back again or get a hotel if they want to. I think that generation has appealed to going into a festival field, especially if you've got the heads or tails, whether it's going to be rainy or sunny. Yeah.
And of course, Download demographic now, they're aiming younger. You know, since the Download pilot in 21, they are, so you're not going to get your Def Leppards. You're unlikely to get your Judas Priests. You're unlikely to get your AC/DCs because they're doing their own. Like, if you can fill stadiums on your own, you don't necessarily need to play these festivals when, oh yeah, we'll get paid such and such for that. Or we could do our own thing and pocket everything.
Yeah, and also I just feel like now that Download has sold out 2 years in a row, trying new things, it's proved to them that they don't need to bank on those old sort of I guess, safe bands to sell tickets. They can bring something new and still do just as well, if not better.
Excellent point. That was actually a really good point that I hadn't even considered. So we're not going to get unlikely. Thing is, if Copping had the opportunity to book AC/DC, I just give him the right
no-brainer.
You would do. I mean, what was it? Was it 2010 when they last did it? And
they bought their own stage.
It was the most packed field that has ever been. Them and Guns N' Roses.
Wasn't there a thing that year that AC/DC didn't realize that they were playing a festival? I don't know if this is a rumor or like an industry thing that circulated, but like I heard a rumor that AC/DC didn't realize that it was a festival booking. They thought they were just doing a headline show at Donington Park, which is why they had their own stage, or there was like a clause in the contract that they had their own AC/DC stage or something along those lines.
I didn't hear that, but that's a lovely story, isn't it? That's some juicy goss, although we are 14 years too late for 2010.
Yeah.
Bringing you yesterday's news today. So we're unlikely to have AC/DC. Probably not Maiden. Def Leppard, Judas Priest, Guns N' Roses.
After their last Glastonbury performance, I wouldn't be optimistic.
Yeah. Axl's voice on that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was sat at home drunk as a skunk watching that. I had my guitar out. I was wearing the hat. I had so much fun watching that. But again, with Guns N' Roses, like they're one of these heritage bands. Like our download have skewed younger now. So the target demographic for downloads probably teenagers through to mid-40s now. I mean, yeah. Anybody older would be welcome. Live Nation aren't averse to taking money from anybody, of course. But, the target demographic, I mean, just look at Busted this year in 2024, they were aiming specifically for people who were between the ages of 7 and 20.
Yeah, see, I disagree.
Years ago.
I feel like Busted they were a band that I grew up with. I'm in like my mid-20s. I feel like that's almost Busted, as much as in our mind they seem like a band that younger people listen to. When you actually look at when they were like really big on the radio and stuff, those people are all adults now. So I feel like it's sort of appealing to that nostalgia. Yeah.
So 20 years ago, these people who were 7, 8 years old then through to 20 odd years old now, 20 years. So that is say 27 something or 24s, 25s up to 40 somethings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of the target demographic for download. So likely to get Guns N' Roses. Metallica did it twice in 23. They could do their own stadium show. Bring Me and Slipknot. I think it's too soon again for them.
See, yeah, like in the absence of one of my predictions, the new headliner prediction that I've got, I could see Bring Me getting the call for next year, because Download aren't adverse to doing a band, giving them a year off and then bringing them back the following year. They have done that before in the past, and especially with Next Gen to promote as well. Mm. And it's going to be far enough away from their last headline run. I don't know if they've got anything in the pipeline as far as a headliner for 2025, but Bring Me could be a shout.
I mean, Bring Me are doing a lot of European festivals now, aren't they? Yeah. I'm seeing them, I think, a Main Square next week. But if any band is going to play Download over and over again in the current day, I think Bring Me are the only ones who can do that without much controversy, because they always bring something new. They've always got some new music out. So I feel like it's been long enough for them to put on a completely different show and to still blow us away.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll put Bring Me in the possibly
the maybe pile.
Yeah, put them in the maybe pile. So I think those are all the bands that we can say probably not. To be honest, we could probably add Architects to that pile because they're headlining Bloodstock this year.
I don't think Architects are big enough to headline Download as well.
No, they're not. Second Stage for sure.
Second Stage, yeah, for sure.
Second Stage for sure, but Architects for Main Stage. So I've put together a list of bands who I think then could possibly do it. Let's have your thoughts. See if you've got any additions to this. Now, the first band. Now, we know they have a good working relationship with Live Nation and with Download from the stuff this year. I would not be surprised to see Ghost headlining.
Well, see, I don't know how feel about a headline slot for Ghost. I think I'm just biased because I'm personally not a fan. I appreciate that they're huge. I just don't know if they've got that kind of mass appeal to even people who don't listen to them. Because like a headliner, there are people who aren't fans of headliners, but will still go and watch an amazing show and will kind of get into it. And I've lost my train of thought completely. I forgot where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
It's warm in your studio, mate.
I'm on that vibe as well, where like I think Ghost would sit as a main support, like in the same way that Biscuit did this year. They'd be a band that would draw a huge crowd to the main stage as a sub headliner, and again, like with that sub-headliner kind of slot, you do still get quite a lot of free roam on your production. Like more often than not, you do get to bring like some of your own staging or some of your own fucking like pyro or, you know, cryogenics and that kind of shit. So there is the possibility of them being a main support. I just don't think they are at least at a level where like some of the other bands that are probably going to come from this conversation, whereby, say, for example, if Ghost did an arena tour, that arena tour would probably be like 3 or 4 arena dates. Whereas, you know, you look at a Bring Me the Horizon, their tour at the start of this year was pretty much every major arena that they could hit in the UK, and they sold out across the board. Like, for me, that's where your download headline has to sit. Look at Queens of the Stone Age, the run that they did tail end of last year, where like they came to Resorts World in Birmingham. They sold that place out as well, and pretty much every other day on that run to tour too, and it was a lot of very big rooms that were pretty much sold out. So I don't know if Ghost have got quite that pull power.
Okay, for reference, I've just been looking on Spotify. Queens of the Stone Age, 6.9 million monthly listens. Ghost, 7.1.
It's not far off though.
No, Ghost have more than Queens of the Stone Age. And I mean, I know, you know, streaming numbers and all that kind of stuff, it isn't everything. So you can take that with a pinch of salt. That doesn't necessarily translate to bums on seats. But I think they could. I mean, I saw them. I don't know if either of you guys saw them at Bloodstock back in, was it 17 or 18 or 19? It was one of those. And they absolutely smashed it. They were amazing. I mean, yeah, the show was great. I think they could. But if you guys are saying you don't think so, okay. My second one, also a former Bloodstock headliner. What do you think about getting some inflatable whales and throwing them off the stage for Gojira?
Oh, see, I'm French, so I'll automatically say yes to that in the first place. I think Bloodstock's definitely the kind of place where they'd rock a headline slot. Download, I just think you've got too much of that kind of mix of the emo kids and like the pop punk guys where I don't know if they'll appeal as much as, say, a Bring Me the Horizon, who appeals to the metalheads as well as the emo kids and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Second stage headliner for me, Gojira. Like, I just think when you look at like rock niches, like they are one of those bands that are so admired and adorned by anyone who's into the technical side of metal, like anyone whose vibe is like weird time signatures, anyone who's a Tool fan, like they look at Gojira as like the goats. Whereas like on a mass appeal kind of level, like personally, if I like me and a lot of the people that I know who are download attendees, we'd go and watch who would ever be on the second or third stage if Gojira were a main stage headliner. Again, they could be a main support as well, could be a main support main stage, but I think they'd sit more safely in the same way that Machine Head were on the Sunday this year. That for me is a very good Gojira slot as a Sunday second stage headliner.
The problem is,
I also,
sorry, go on.
Sorry. Oh, no, I also think it's important when thinking of a headliner as to have a band that, even if you're not a fan of them, you know a few songs. Like Fall Out Boy, you might not be a fan, but you know Sugar, We're Going Down. Stuff like that. You might not be an Events fan, but you know Hail to the King. And I just don't think Gojira have that kind of song where everyone or most people in that crowd will be able to know it and recognize it.
Legit, as like someone who works very, very closely with like rock media and that kind of stuff, the only Gojira song I know off the top of my head is L'Enfant Sauvage. Like that's the only one I could tell you the name of right now without going on Spotify.
Fair enough. The problem that I think that a lot of rock and metal has is that there are loads of bands who are suitable and they're the right size for a second stage headline slot.
Yeah.
But for a band to kind of transcend that and take that next step up to be headlining instead of like a 20, 30,000 field, to be headlining a 70, 80,000 field, that's a big step that to be fair, I didn't think Fall Out Boy would work.
Really?
I did not think that they would work on the main stage. I was proved entirely wrong. I am now a complete Fall Out Boy convert. They were fabulous at Download this year.
On that note as well, can we just take a second to appreciate they did something that I don't think I've ever seen a band do at a festival show, or even just a show in general, where they played in chronological order bangers from their albums. Like they started at Take This to Your Grave with Chicago and Grand Theft Autumn, then they went in From Under the Cork Tree, like, you know, Sugar We're Going Down and Dance Dance, Infinity on High. The fact they played Thriller with a Jay-Z intro made me mark out. But like going through their whole discography start to finish like that, because if anyone's seen Fall Out Boy live before, 9 times out of fucking 10 they open with Sugar We're Going Down. So it's like, for them to have mixed it up that much, but still ended on Saturday, which always happens with Fall Out Boy. But I love that concept where it's like, cool, here's our album bangers in chronological order.
They were great.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I feel like that works a lot with Fall Out Boy as well, just because of the sheer amount of great music they've put out there that's been on the radio and widely known, that they can just do it chronologically and it still have good songs that everyone would know, spread out evenly, and just make a really good set.
All right, so we're not feeling Gojira. Here's one that I think is probably nailed on.
Go on.
Because they're doing the European Stadium Tour this year with specifically no UK dates in there whatsoever, I would not be surprised to see a bunch of Germans setting fire to Donington Park next summer.
Yeah.
Rammstein.
Yeah, it's one that I've heard a lot. Yeah, it's when talking to other like people who go down and stuff, Rammstein's a name that keeps popping up, like we need them back.
And let's see, Rammstein last played in Standby Caller.
It's been a few years.
2016.
I think it was, yeah.
2016, Jesus.
Rammstein on the Friday, Sabbath on the Saturday, and then Maiden on the Sunday night. God, and that was the year that it chucked it down as well.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm having flashbacks to standing there, trying to huddle closer to the stage so that Rammstein's pyro would help keep us warm and dry. So
yeah.
It'd be 9 years in 2025 since Rammstein were at Donington. And plus they do have that mass appeal that you were talking about, Edgy.
Yeah, I 100% think Rammstein it's been long enough that they can come back and still feel fresh. I mean, last time they played, I wasn't even going to Download yet. I was 15 in 2016. So, as a part of, I guess, that new generation of Download goers, it feels still like a fresh band to us.
John?
Yeah, it's a tricky one for me, man. Like all that Till Lindemann shit that came out. Like it's the same with Pantera being booked as this like a second stage headliner. It's like Marilyn Manson supporting Five Finger Death Punch in the States. It's like I don't know. Don't know how I feel about it all. It's very much like swept under the rug kind of stuff.
And, you know, as much as I agree that they might headline, I completely agree that I would be chatting about all that if they did, and I would probably be moaning about it. But they're big enough, and I mean, whatever your views are on the situation, I don't see it having impacted them professionally. And as we've seen with Download, like you said, booking Pantera, Slaughter to Prevail, bands like that, I don't really see it as they're gonna change their mind on it purely because of that.
Yep. So Rammstein, we'll put them in the definitely maybe pile along with Bring Me.
Oh, they're big enough to, without a doubt, though, without a doubt. And especially that stadium run that they've been doing for the last couple of years. I mean, like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, Jews, but like, I'm cursed when it comes to Rammstein. Like, I have never seen Rammstein live, right? And I've been trying since I was probably about 16 years old to see. And that Download you mentioned in 2016, what day were they on? Did you say it was a Sunday or the Saturday?
They were Friday night, Rammstein.
Right, Friday night. That's why I missed them, because I had a DJ set that night. I went to Download Saturday and Sunday that year. That's always been the case. Whenever Rammstein have played, right, the last time they came through the UK on a headline run, I forgot that they were touring and literally drove past Coventry as I was going back home, and all I just saw was just all of this fire coming out of Coventry Stadium. I was like, I know who that is. I know exactly who that is.
Yeah, I remember when they played Cardiff, I think a lot of people called Principality had called Fire, who had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, Rammstein have that effect. So we'll put Rammstein in the definitely maybe pile. Another band who could bring all the fire. We know these guys have got a great relationship with Andy Coppin, with Live Nation. The buzz around them for the secret set this year in 2024 was immense. Our Parkway, previous second stage headliners, also previous Bloodstock headliners, are they ready to take that big step and headline that main stage? They've got the bangers for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're on my list as well. That's the first band we've completely agreed on. I think they proved themselves second stage headlining. They proved the demand's there. And I mean, I think I've watched their Bloodstock headline set as well online. And I think they're ready, personally.
John?
Yeah, like, it's a tricky one because Parkway Drive, for me, are in a category of bands where it's like, me personally, is a no-brainer, but also in terms of like, if I was Download as a business, like the risk associated with taking a gamble on a new band like that, which isn't a guaranteed day ticket seller as a headliner, because like a lot of these bands, you got to think about how strong they are in terms of selling day tickets for their availability just to come down and have people turn up for that one day. That for me is why and again, like I'd put Enter Shikari in that category as well, because I think Enter Shikari have been ready to headline Download Festival for a number of years now. And when they headlined Slam Dunk Festival a couple of years ago, they had that genius production where Rao was like interacting with the LED screens on stage, putting his hand in the water and then falling into it. Like bands like this have been fucking ready for ages. Parkway Drive especially, like the Cage of Death alone is worth putting on a main stage in a headline position. And I mean, like I was lucky enough to see that a couple of times last year. I went to see them at Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, and like they bought the Cage of Death, and it's like you stood in like a 3,000 cap venue watching, I can't remember the name of the drummer, Parkway just spin around whilst everything's on fire. And it's like, that is headliner energy. But at the same time, it's like, are they headline band energy or are they main support energy? Just because of the fact that they've not quite got that level of pull as a couple of the other bands that I think are going to come up in this conversation do. It's such a tricky one because they're like almost there, and I'd fully support it. I know a lot of people who would turn up and be stoked to see Parkway have that opportunity.
But for reference as well, I'm just having a look on here. So I mentioned that both Ghost and Queens of the Stone Age got around about 7 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And again, it's just streaming figures, so don't read too much into it. 1.7 million monthly listeners for
Yeah.
Don't read too
But then
much.
we've also got... we've also got to think, I think, like, for example, with Ghost, a lot of that fan base is heavily focused online and spread out everywhere. So I feel like while they might have a higher listener number, I feel like a Download crowd, within a Download crowd, I feel like Parkway almost have that same kind of level, despite not necessarily having the streaming numbers to back it up.
So what we're saying, Parkway, maybe?
I'll say maybe, yeah.
I'm going to go main support max. I think if one of the newer bands that I think could be getting the call next year get it, then I would definitely put Parkway as their main support.
Okay, so we'll put question mark next to Parkway Drive, and I suspect that the band that you're thinking of there, Mr. Mahon, is Vessel and the Tokens, yeah?
Very, very much so. This has been my prediction pretty much since their tour got announced, the one that's happening at the tail end of this year. That tour that Sleep Token are doing at the tail end of this year is pretty much show for show the tour that Bring Me did at the start of this year, and Bring Me had to have Bad Omens to guarantee that all of those shows sold out. Sleep Token have got Bill Murray, and they're still selling out. It's like, go figure.
I've got to agree with you, man. Since they sold out Wembley in, 10 minutes? And
Right, like less than 5.
it would be a very cool, very rock and roll cliche thing. I'm assuming that they're going to end the tour probably at Wembley or wherever it is that they're ending. Last night of the tour, they do a big kabuki drop at the end of the set. See you at Donington next year.
Yeah. It's 2 nights at the O2, isn't it?
Is it 2 nights at the O2? Gee.
I want to say, double fact check that, but I want to say they've got 2 nights to go to, just like Bring Me did.
Edgy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally a Sleep Token fan, but even I can look and say it's not even a case of if they'll headline, it's a case of when. They've just absolutely skyrocketed. They've got those kind of bangers through TikTok and other means that sort of a lot of people are now familiar with and know. They put on a brilliant show. I think they're very likely, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fact checking you there, John. They're playing the end of November in London, and then going off doing Cardiff and Leeds, then coming back to London.
Yeah,
Cardiff.
I thought so.
Oof.
That is O2 Arena's what, close to 20,000 people, I want to say, in terms of capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
big
it's like
arena.
that's 40,000 in London alone.
You know what? I think this is the first. Well, no, because Rammstein could definitely be doing it next year. They're probably more likely than Bring Me. Sleep Token, man. I would put money on them doing it.
And what's mental about Sleep Token is I'm 90% sure that this is the case, that the last time they played Download Festival, I don't think they've been back since then, was the Download pilot, and they were the second band of the weekend, but they were the first band on the second stage that weekend. I want to say it went Hot Milk opening the main stage, first live music in the UK since the pandemic. Well, first global live music since the pandemic. I want to say Hot Milk opened at the main stage, and then Sleep Token opened up the second stage. It was either Sleep Token or Death
No, it
Bloom.
was someone else. I think it was Death Blooms, because I think it was Death Blooms first, because I saw them, but I didn't see Sleep Token that year.
Right, yeah, so it'd have been Death Blooms, then Sleep Token on after Death Blooms. But if you like, what a fucking evolution! Like being
God,
being on
completely.
the second band on the second stage of the Download pilot to then coming back the next time and headlining the whole joint.
4 years later, oh yeah, we're headlining now. Boom. Yeah. Sleep Token, man. I think they could definitely do it. There's other question marks. So they've made a whole list of bands here. Bullet for My Valentine. Again, another one of those that I personally would put. They would headline the hell out of the second stage.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I love some Bullet, but I think they've sort of like just I just don't think they've grown enough to move from where they used to play to that headline slot, personally.
I think even if Bullet were doing the Poison in full, the most you'd be looking at is main support.
Yeah.
I think something like that. And like the Poison Descendancy tour is, I think it's standing room only for those tickets, but that's both bands playing both their classic albums. So as much as it pains me, because I love Bullet, you know, the Poison is up there for me. It's one of my favorite albums. I just don't think that they would be able to. I just don't think that their name would be enough of a pull.
No, they also wouldn't do it for 25 as well, because that tour's what, Trivium and Bullets January, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, if they're doing arenas in January, there's not a chance that they would roll the dice on them being especially a headliner. Like, yeah, definitely they could probably stick them on as like a main support, as like a second stage headliner. But if you're banking on them selling tickets after they've just done a whole round of selling tickets for themselves at the start of the year, chances are they're probably not going to be a needle mover for 25's festival.
Fair enough. I think we're
yeah.
That one. Another possibility. So I've got both of these. Well, this one is very much question marked. Should they get a new singer? Who was John? Edgy. You may remember this one. Who was the female singer who sang with Mike Shinoda?
Stand Atlantic.
I can't remember her name. That's it.
Bonnie from Stand Atlantic.
That version that they did of Bleed It Out, and I know there's been rumors flying all around. I wouldn't put it past Andy Copping to pull something like that off and have a surprise headline, the Heritage Band. I mean, for the modern target demographic of Download, could you get a more heritage band? It's fucking millennial Bon Jovi, for fuck's sakes. If we were to get Linkin Park, oh my.
Yeah. I absolutely. I mean, I love the version that they released with the vocalist from Stand Atlantic, and I'm just a huge Linkin Park fan. I've got one tattoo, and it's the Linkin Park logo for in chest. So I, again, incredibly biased, but I think they've got obviously that mass appeal, and as long as they do it right, they don't frame it as Linkin Park. They frame it as Linkin Park with someone. I think it will go down well as well.
So I can't remember who I was speaking to about this recently. Someone said that they've heard rumblings that there's a massive like one-off show happening in America at some point, and that it's like stupid. There's just like genuine, it's like mind-blowing one-off show that's been booked, but like I didn't get any more details on it than that. This is as inside as I get, by the way. We started like fantasy booking it, like who it could be, and I was thinking, right, like you know when they did the Chester Bennington Memorial show, and they had loads of iconic vocalists come out and they all took turns on certain Linkin Park songs.
Yeah.
I could see Shinoda booking something like SoFi Stadium in LA. It would sell out instantly, and then they pre-sell the set list. This is going to be the set list, and this is going to be which artist, which lead singer from which band is going to do which Linkin Park song. And you get people like Ollie Sykes coming out. You get people like, I know, they take your pick of anyone who's got a scream and a clean sing on him. Literally anyone from any like Vessel, you could put him on one of the tracks, like Bonnie from Stand Atlantic. I tell you who would be a great shout, and a lot of people would probably like roll their eyes at me for saying this, but Tyler Joseph from 21 Pilots, because Chester Bennington, there are so many videos on the internet, so many tweets from Chester saying how much he loved 21 Pilots. There's videos of him sat in a cab, like singing 21 Pilot songs on his Instagram story. Like he had so much respect for Tyler Joseph, and Tyler's got one of the most underrated screams in the game, man. Like he comes from that Columbus, Ohio scene where Beartooth emerged from. Like he grew up supporting hardcore bands. Like if it was the case they needed a dedicated, I don't think Tyler would do it because he's too ingrained in 21 Pilots to actually do like a full run or a full show as replacing someone else. But in terms of a guest vocalist, I'd put him in the mix as well. But then off the back of that, considering that would be the American USP, the one the Americans got, to give the UK audience the same thing, I could see Mike Shinoda and Andy Copping having a conversation. Andy going, right, here's the vocalist we're going to have a download this year. Who would you want to build a set around that to do a Linkin Park tribute show whereby all of these people who are going to be at download this weekend, they all come out on stage and they do their favorite Linkin Park song with you?
It happened. It'd be a logistical nightmare. Gods, I am not going to try and organize the Google Calendar for that one. Holy shitballs, man! I ain't doing that. But that would be something truly staggering, and it's the kind of thing that I can imagine Andy Copping laying awake at night.
Yeah,
it's not my favorite wet dream, to be honest, but I can imagine him laying awake at night thinking how to make that happen. So we'll put a question mark by that, yeah?
Yeah.
Question mark for that one. All right. Last headlined in, let me check myself before I indeed wreck myself. Oh, crap. I can't even find the thing. John, you've got to help me. When did Muse last headline?
Was it 2015?
2017?
I think it was 15, no? Unless I'm tripping.
I want to say 17.
17 was System Biffy, who we're going to come on to next.
Ah, right, Biffy.
Muse, if you, Ed, you think it was 2015?
I think it was 2015. I could be wrong.
I haven't got the paper open, but
let me quickly check.
They haven't done it. 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, it was 2015.
2015 was Muse.
Yeah.
Good shout, Edge.
Well done.
Thank you.
Remembering all these things like I do.
Encyclopedic knowledge of download headliners. I love it.
I wasn't even there. Like,
they put on a fabulous show.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. For every year, whenever Download put out that form saying, "Oh, who do you want to headline?" Muse are on there for me. I saw them in 2019 on their Simulation Theory tour. And that's not even a music show. That's just a whole ass performance. Like it's, even if you've never heard a Muse song before, you can sit there and just watch in awe. I think they'd absolutely kill it again.
Yeah. I don't know about 25 personally, just because I don't know when the last time Muse did a stadium run was. And I think there's a lot of bands this year who wanted to do stadium runs who couldn't because of the Eras tour. And I think, just as a side note, you know that clip of Dave Grohl like taking a shot at Taylor, right? Something that I've not seen anyone say online, which is, what's David Grohl's favorite venue to play in the UK? It's fucking Wembley Stadium. And he couldn't do that on this run because Taylor was there for 4 months. So it's like, he had to go and play like West Ham Stadium and say, oh no. But like, I genuinely think a lot of those stadium bands looked at the UK this year and went, eras are going through it. There's no chance of us being able to negotiate in and around that time. She's going to have first dibs on wherever she wants to go. Trying to build our own run around that's going to be an absolute nightmare. Let's save it for 26 when she's off writing a new album.
Right. So you think that there's going to be some big... I mean, we have had some big stadium runs this year. You know, Green Day doing the stadium run. Foo's doing the stadium run.
AC/DC.
AC/DC, of course. Damn. So we've got some big ones, but you think there might be some more to come next year? Which
I think so, yeah.
Download billing.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, and again, like, I don't know if... Geez, was it your interview or was it Planet Rock's interview where someone sat down with Copping and to talk about the headliners for this year, and they said that they approached 21 different bands to headline Download this year?
I think that was Planet Rock's interview. I remember
Planet
hearing
Rock's.
that and thinking, if I was in Queens of the Stone Age, knowing that I was like number 20 on the list, I might not have been happy with that. It, like, ooh.
It also kind of makes me think, did Download actually try and get all these new headliners in for the sake of getting new headliners in? Or was it just no one else is wanting to play? This is who we've got.
Well, I think there's a long list of those stadium borderline, or arena borderline stadium bands that have never played Download before that could, that they are in a position where they don't necessarily have to play a UK festival because it's so lucrative for them to do either a big arena or a big stadium run. Bands like Green Day have never done Download, Foos have never done Download, Blink have never done Download, Paramore have never done Download. It's like, you look at that list of bands and it's like they seem like no-brainers, but at the same time, if those bands have the opportunity to go and do a stadium run, that's more lucrative. So it's like, it puts Download in a tricky position whereby, like, they're obviously capped at the amount they can offer these bands to come and headline, whereas these bands go, well, we get paid that much to be a headliner as a one-off, and then there's probably a clause in there that they can't do a headliner in the UK for X amount of months either side of it as well, or do we just go do a stadium run?
I'd agree with you. But would you add My Chemical Romance to that list?
100%.
They could just... Well, they did in 22, was it not? Like, we'll just do our own.
Can we never go back to Milton Keynes ever again, please?
I'm just so glad they played Cardiff like 15 minutes from my house. I saw all the emos in Milton Keynes. I was so happy.
Yeah. So
I've never been to war myself, but I can imagine that's how it feels. Like going to Milton Keynes.
I saw Rammstein at Milton Keynes, and it was truly staggering. What was also staggering was the queue of taxis around the stadium after the gig. It's like we ended up walking home, man. I couldn't get anywhere. But I see what you're saying about bands who are potentially too big to play a festival like that. You Blink, Foo Fighters, Green Day, My Chem, Paramore.
Yeah,
of course, they've had a lot
of eras in it.
Yeah, playing with Taylor Swift. So many.
You know what's mad as well? On that note, a band with a female lead singer has never headlined Download Festival.
You are kidding me, right?
Nope. That is 100% true.
Oh, my days. You know that's somewhere on Andy Coppins' list to go, I'd like that.
And if we're talking viable contenders for that, you don't have that many options if you're being realistic. Like, I don't think Paramore would take a down, especially given the direction they've just gone in with Taylor Swift. Unless it was them doing Riot in Full, which again, I can't see Hayley saying yes to. I can't see a band like Paramore doing that. Reading and Leeds or Glasgow is far more appealing to them because they've moved into that commercial, popular genre kind of side of things. For me, there's two: Evanescence or Halestorm.
Yeah, those are the exact two. Like one of the first ones I wrote down on my list as well. I think after Evanescence performance in 23 as well, where people were struggling to get to that crowd at second stage, I think that's more than enough to show that they need to be on that headline slot.
Okay, now this is a band I didn't even have on my list, but I've never seen Evanescence. But again, you know,
I haven't either.
As much as like Linkin Park are kind of millennial Bon Jovi, Evanescence for millennials, it's like target demographic. Oh my days, like that is absolutely bang on. Evanescence could be a great shout.
Yep. And like especially the pop that Amy Lee got when she came out with Bring Me to do Nihilist Blues and One Day the Only Butterflies Left Will Be in Your Chest as You March Towards Your Death. Like, a lot of people marked out hard when she took that hood off and started singing. And it's like, I genuinely think that, like, given what Evanescence could do with the staging, the production, and just Amy Lee's voice alone on a main stage. Like, if you imagine, like, it's completely dark and then the piano chords ring out and it's just, don't cry to me if you love me. And just like a sea of people bawling their eyes out. Like, give me that. Give me that every day.
I just want to hear a full download crowd scream, "Wake me up" at once. I just want to hear it.
You know that the crowd will be doing the rapping bits. It'll be like, oh, so many white people rapping in a field.
Just snapbacks going backwards in synchronization.
Evanescence, a great potential shout. They're going on the list. How about the other one that you suggested there? I know they are on the up and up, and they do not come nicer in the biz than the guys in Halestorm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think they're big enough at the moment. I've been saying this for quite a while with Halestorm. Halestorm needs that one album in the same way Bring Me had post-human survival horror. Like, Halestorm need one of those albums where it is the fact that daytime radio, like, we're not talking like, you know, like Primordial and Kerrang and like those kind of stations. We're talking like Radio 1 and like those, like, you know, when a rock band makes onto like a Radio 1 daytime playlist and people are like, oh, all of a sudden they've just gone up a level. It's like they need an album with just like 3 singles that can do that for them. TikTok pick up and it blows up in like that kind of fashion. They get a bit of virality about them. They just need that one release. They're so close to it because you look at their catalog, man, like, there's so many songs in a Halestorm set list, absolutely bang live, but it just comes down to that, as you said, Jews, a couple of times on this chat, the monthly listenership, the household recognition of the name.
Yeah, I would probably put Evanescence before Halestorm for that spot. And it pains me to say that because I absolutely love those guys. It's crazy just how nice they are, and I want all the success in the world for them, but just yet I could see Halestorm again, one of those bands who are of a level. I could see them doing main support on main stage, or headline the second stage. Have they headlined that second stage?
I think they have.
Yeah, I want to say yes because I do have I've got a memory of watching them as the sun was setting, and that's usually, if you're on the second stage, that's usually when the headliners are on.
I think 22, I think it was headline second. 23, they were a bit lower down on main stage.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was.
Potential, but Evanescence, that would be a good shout. I know we mentioned them early, but I don't know if we actually do a line on them. John, you'll probably have thoughts on this one. They last headlined in 2022, Mon the Biff.
Not anymore, bro. Not anymore. Unfortunately, I love Biffy Clyro. No, it's not unfortunate that I love Biffy Clyro. I love Biffy Clyro. But unfortunately, that download headline set it proved a point that Korn should have headlined that year. And a lot of people left after that Korn set. I watched Korn, and because I'm a big Biffy guy, I stuck around for Biffy. And, you know, if you're stood watching the band on the main stage and you're in front of that sort of like first row sound towers, so you're between like the barrier and the sound towers and the sound desk, right? During Korn, genuinely, where the bar starts on the right hand side, all the posters that are between the bar and the stage couldn't move. You absolutely couldn't move in that area. Soon as Korn finished, because it was a Sunday, right? Soon as Korn finished, that cleared out. And like, you could basically walk to the barrier for Biffy if you wanted to.
It was like that.
I did. I practically did.
Oh, really? You did that?
Well, literally, I can't remember who was on before Biffy on another stage or something, but I'm a huge Biffy Clyro fan. And I remember, I think it was quite frankly 10 minutes before they came on. I walked like 3 rows away from barrier and we were right by the front. And it made me upset because I do absolutely adore Biffy Clyro. Yeah, but I do think you're right in the sense that Korn should have had that headline slot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about Korn then. They've always seemed like they are the granddad, the daddies of new metal. But for some reason, they've never quite made it to that top step at download, which...
Same with Biscuit, innit?
Yeah, and I'm a bit confused. I'm confused as to why. Because Korn, as with Limp Bizkit, have got bangers for days. Everybody knows.
They got seen as the support band, though, didn't they? It's like... You know, when Slipknot wanted to go on tour, Slipknot did that arena tour where they did Wembley Stadium. No, it was Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena.
I was there for that one with Korn.
When Korn came out and they covered Sabotage.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Korn were the USP of that tour because they were the big main support band where it's like, fuck, I get to see Slipknot and Korn in the same night. Yes, please. But it was always Korn supporting Slipknot. And I feel like Korn fell into that. Whereas, like, you know, if an Avenged wanted to do a tour, if Metallica wanted to do a tour, Korn have supported all of those bands over the years, but they've been the go-to support band to generate those ticket sales to push it to a sold-out level. Korn were never seen as like the headliner draw. Personally, just as a spectator, which blows my mind, as you said, Juice, when you look at their lineage, their discography, their impact on the scene. And it's like, roll the dice on it, man. Roll the dice on it. Like, I think, because like, I've got my 3 headline predictions, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My Sunday one has been the most like sort of like carousel roundabout one. You could interchange that with any sort of bands. And Korn are one of those bands that I think you could interchange it with, depending on who else is available, what they say. Because Korn fall into like and again, Deftones 25th anniversary of White Pony next year. Them doing White Pony in full on the Sunday. Behave. Like, how many tickets would that sell?
Quite a lot. That'd be great. Korn, Deftones, maybe. But sticking with new metal, I think this is one of yours, John. How about you, Edgy? System of a Down.
Yeah, again, I was literally talking to my download group just before this, and I was like, what do you guys think will happen? And everyone said System of a Down. They're just, again, it's just a band that you know they'll sell well, you know they'll play well, and if Download does want that one safe band, if they want to try new things with the other 2 headline slots, it'll do the job.
So System last played in 2017, I think, unless I've missed one. And so I reckon it would be time again for System of a Down. That's I'd say there's a high possibility of that one. If they can stand being on the same stage together, which they have done this year.
Yeah, like in my download special, I ended it by giving my 3 predictions for next year, and System of a Down with a Sunday band that I chose purely off the back of that Sick New World show as well. Like, watching the highlight footage from that, it's like, cool. They're operating on a very high level of sound output, because I mean, I think we've all seen a very ropey System of a Down show at some point over the years where it's been like, oh, that doesn't sound like how it's meant to. But like, I think with that Sick New World set in Vegas, being the headline band for a brand new festival, they understand the gravitas of that situation. They were like, we got to go out and we got to bat 100 on this, and they did. Same with Biscuit at Download this year. Biscuit could very well have gone a different way. Like, I saw them at Louder Than Life last year in Louisville, Kentucky, and they played like 1 or 2 songs, and Fred Durst was dressed as Dad Durst, and I don't know if this is the gimmick where he complains about everything, but like, they did 2 songs and he was like, man, turn these fucking screens off, dude. I'm not a TV show. This isn't MTV. I'm a real musician, man. I am Danny Wimmer. I'm not playing another song until you turn these screens off, man. So turn the screens off. And this field goes back like 150 meters. So if you're stood at the back, like not near the barrier at all, it looks like ants are running out on stage. Like, you don't even know what outfit Wes Borland has on, which is a crime if you're watching Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Limp Bizkit, from what I've heard from this year, though, they could have headlined.
100%. 100%.
One of those.
And the next time they play Download, they will. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I reckon they probably will as well on the strength of that. System of a Down. I know that you put it in your download special there, John. You think they will? Edgy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very likely to headline. I've never actually seen them before. I think 2017 was the year before my first download. So they're a bucket list band for me. I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about System to give an input on how they'd be as a headline, but I can see it happening. Yeah.
All right, so we'll put them in the definitely maybe pile. Here's one. We know they're doing stuff, and I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet about these guys because, well, they didn't retire for very fucking long, did they? But if Slayer were to come back and do Donington, Kerry King went down a storm on the main stage this year. But if there were actual Slayer doing actual South of Heaven, Raining Blood, all of those, ooh.
I don't think that's headline.
Second stage top.
Yeah. I think last time they did their last ever like download show, whatever it was, can't remember what year it was. That was, I think, headline in second stage. And I don't see them getting a bigger crowd than they did then, especially as it's not been that long.
So they could do like the Pantera slot this year, headline that second stage on the Saturday, put Slayer in there. Fair enough. Now, I've just checked their website for live dates, and there's just a completely blank page. There was absolutely fuck all there. So I think we can scratch Nine Inch Nails off the list. I don't think they're doing anything at the moment.
Interesting.
If they were to do anything, if Trent just went, you know what, I fancy doing a festival, they could do it easy. But I've heard no rumblings. I've heard no rumors about anything like gearing up to do any live stuff. So I think, sadly, we'd just have to scratch off Nine Inch Nails from the list.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky one with Nine Inch Nails because, like, they've got the following. Whenever they play, they pull massively. But it's just whether they actually want to do it or not.
Yeah. So since we've not heard anything, we've got to kind of work on what we know. So probably not. Now, Edgy, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I know that me and John are very much on board for this. Yeah. Imagine the scene, and I also have a sub-headliner here as well.
I think I know what's coming.
I have a sub-headliner lined up here as well. So you're in Saturday afternoon, and the sun is...
Correct day of the week as well. Correct day.
Yes. Saturday afternoon, the sun is shining, you're with your mates at Download Festival, and a newly reformed band on their second lease of life get up on the main stage as a sub-headliner. Imagine the crowd sing along. With arms wide open into the sunlight. Imagine the size of that sing along. Then imagine how pumped up the crowd will be when Nickelback come out for their Donington headline maiden appearance. The bangers for days. You've got Burn It to the Ground. You'd have Side of a Bullet. Imagine the sing along to Rockstar.
Yep.
See, I don't know why you thought
Animal Live.
Yeah. I don't know why you thought I would have liked that. Nickelback would kill it on a headline.
You think?
Oh, I love Nickelback, man. Hell yeah. I think obviously they had that whole meme that everyone hates Nickelback and stuff, but we're all old enough to realize that no, Nickelback go hard. And I think it would just be a laugh. They would be fun.
Yeah.
Everyone knows at least 5 Nickelback songs.
Yeah.
And they have that mass crossover, like for all these bands. But I don't think Nickelback, we talked about earlier the stadium headlining bands who could potentially be too big for festivals, like Foo Fighters and maybe your Blinks and all that. I think Nickelback are just that right size of huge band. They've just done the very well-received arena tour this year. I reckon they would be a fabulous shot. With Creed as sub-headliner as well. Come on, put Creed on.
Oh. Creed as a sub-headliner is where, like, you had me screaming, shut up and take my money. Like, I hadn't even thought about that. But, oh, my God. Because, like, thing is, right, I'm just trying to find it. But, like, Nickelback, when they've done... I've looked at so many of their set lists from when they've done festivals. And, like... as far as bands go that understand the assignment for doing a festival set list, right, here we go. So if you saw Nickelback on their last headline tour, the one song that people were very, very surprised they didn't play was Hero. Like, a lot of people would have loved to have heard that. But at festival sets, they do. And I've seen multiple Nickelback festival set lists where that's in the set list. But they also understand the assignment by chucking in a cover every now and then. And they've been known to do like Metallica covers, AC/DC covers. Like, they will bust out like a big festival field sing-along cover if they need to. And they're not afraid to do it. So it's like, if you add on to that as the bangers that you listed on as well earlier, Jews. And like, they didn't have any pyro on that last headline run. Like LED screens. I don't think they had any cryogenics either. maybe had lasers. Like I don't even think they had that. I literally just think it was LED screens. And it's like, for a fact, if they got a one-off at Donington, they're bringing some pyro and they're setting everything on fire for burning it to the ground.
Yeah, I feel like they're the kind of band that when announced, everyone will be hating the lineup. You look at the comments, everyone will hate it. But as soon as you're actually at the festival, I don't think you'll get a bigger crowd. I think everyone will go just to see Nickelback.
I think the comment section would defend them more so now than ever. After that last headline run, so many people left that tour being like, why have we had to wait so long for a Nickelback headliner? Why?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think they'd do like Fallout Boy this year. The comment section would be all over them, but then they'd be there and they would set the place on fire and make 80,000 new friends.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut out there, so I missed half of that, but...
It's all we're just creaming over Chad Kroger.
Yeah.
Headline, yeah.
But still, man, I'm all about that subhead. Imagine the sing-along.
Bro, get like higher.
Like, oh my God. Oh, yes, I want this to happen.
Do you know what? Just in fact, just make that whole Saturday just power ballad, divorced dad, cock rock. Like,
Hell yeah.
all of them. Absolutely all of them. Like, POD, Shine Down, Alter Bridge, Stained, like all of them on the main stage in just one day.
Oh God, that crowd would stink.
We'd be so sweaty. It's like, what else is on today? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the other three stages look like. It is like, you may as well bring your tent to the main stage that day.
All right. So, do we have any more suggestions now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm surprised we haven't pushed more on My Chem being a very potential headline. I think they were meant to play, I think it was headline Download Australia in 2020 before that all went to shit with COVID.
Yep.
So I don't think they think they're too big to play festival shows. I think, they had a bad time at Download the last couple of times they were there, but obviously times have changed. They're starting to tease out even more music. I just think it's finally time for them.
It's a tricky one with My Chem because like they are a no-brainer, but it also falls into the category of like last time they played a festival in the UK was Reading and Leeds, I want to say. Danger Days album cycle. That was their last festival performance when Brian May came out and they did We Will Rock You, and then Brian May played the guitar solo and Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yeah.
But again, I think it just totally depends on how they feel about it, because like they're doing When We Were Young later on this year and they're playing the Black Parade in its fucking entirety.
God. That's
Never been so jealous of the Americans.
Yeah,
I'm going. Like I was sat there on the day those tickets went on sale, just being like, please get in my basket, please.
That is going to be a trip, man. But so My Chem, like it's an absolute no-brainer. But are they, as we mentioned earlier, that kind of band who they don't need to do a festival because they will sell out stadiums by themselves?
But I still feel like they want to. I don't know. I mean, they'll already then play the festivals in America, so we've seen that they are willing to play festivals.
How do we feel about a band doing an album in its entirety as a Download headliner? Do you think we'd like, because to my knowledge, isn't it only Metallica who've done that with the Black Album, or has anyone else done it?
It would depend on the band. Well, Linkin Park did it with
Hybrid Theory.
Hybrid Theory. I was in the field for that, and I couldn't speak afterwards.
But those are the Team Rock days, weren't they?
It was. Like, man, that was just crazy, that Linkin Park show. But it would depend on the band, depend on the album. Like, as much as I'm creaming my jeans over Nickelback, do they have that one Hybrid Theory-esque album? I mean, you could say Dark Horse was a huge album. Could say Silver Side. Oh, I can't remember its name. So probably not. So Nickelback, maybe as an album in full, no. System of a Down, if they were to do Toxicity in full.
That's a big one.
Yeah. They could
also back on the, I was about to say Evanescence Fallen as well.
Fallen in full. Yeah, I love how we were both there
at the same time.
Yeah, that's a contender. As I said, like Paramore, the only way I could see Paramore agreeing to do it is if they went, we're going to do Riot in full, or we're going to do even probably like Brand New Eyes, they could do in full. Like it would be something like that. The only way I could see Paramore playing Download, I reckon. But Blink-182, any of their fucking albums you could do in full at Download.
I saw Bees tweeting, Terry Bees tweeting the other day saying most pop punk bands or most bands don't have a greatest hits album as good as Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
It's a fucking true story.
Words of truth from Bees. It's like, it's damn true. But then they could do Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. They could do Enema of the State.
Yep.
You know, they've got a couple in there to choose from. If Blink were to do it, oh my God.
Yeah. Green Day have been doing American Idiot and Dookie in full a whole bunch recently.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be
Is that what are they doing Dookie on this tour, no?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I said like they've got like the 3D. I saw like a photo of like the 3D Dookie backdrop where it's like an inflatable like explosion that looked really cool. But yeah, like again, like a band doing a seminal album in full is always a contender because it's been a while since Download had booked one of those.
I think the last one was Linkin Park.
Hybrid Theory. Yeah.
Metallica did the 20 years of Master of Puppets in 2006.
And the Black, they did the Black album in full 1 year as well, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah. I want to say that was a Team Rock year as well.
God.
Metallica doing Black album in full.
See, the problem with remembering who did what in what year is that at festivals, normally the day seems to end quite drunk. And so,
Yeah.
so you forget. Like, who was there? I don't know. I was pissed. So, yeah, okay, they've done that. All right, so we have our shortlist, unless we've got any more for any more right now.
Well, I've got a very out there one, which we don't really need to discuss. It's just one that's stuck in my head and I think would kill it, but I think the download community would hate it. I think it's Demi Lovato.
Oh my day. As a headliner.
Or maybe as a sub-headliner. I think, I'm a fan. I think they'd kill it as a headliner. If they did like, because they work with a lot of artists. If they did like Demi Lovato with Slash, for example, because they worked a lot with Slash, I think something like that could work. I think very unlikely, but it's in there in my brain, like with the new rock music that's coming out from them, which goes quite hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they could do it.
What's the Fall Out Boy tune that Demi Lovato features on? They did like a second version with Demi, and their verse on that goes so hard because like they adopted like a different like perspective on it from like two different like sides of the spectrum between like Demi and Patrick Stump, and like the way they changed the lyrics was so damn clever. And like I'd 100% like see someone like Demi Lovato. I think Avril Lavigne is going to do it at some point. Obviously not as a headliner, but like I spoke to Cam on an interview like a couple of months ago, and I was like, "What's Avril Lavigne saying for like?" Because this was before the download line; it was complete. I was like, "What's Avril saying?" Because like Avril's over for some like European and a handful of like UK show dates, and he's like, tried for this year, just like couldn't get her this year. So it's like maybe in a few years time, like Avril could do it as well.
Fingers crossed. I'm seeing her next week at Main Square Festival as well, and I am buzzing.
See, that's it. Like the days, and I don't want to call them the bad old days because there were a lot of good times, but the days of My Chem getting bottled off the stage at Download Festival, I think those days have come to an end.
100%.
The rapturous response that Busted got with a tent that you could not get near.
Yep. You
had to be there for the start of Wheatus's set to try and get into that tent for Busted.
Even that wasn't good enough.
No.
I completely skipped Busted this year. I couldn't. I tried out. I saw because I love Hai Lung and I love Busted, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to see the first 10 minutes of Hai Lung. And I'll try and go Busted." Didn't work. Went back and just enjoyed Hai Lung.
Yeah, but the love that Busted got this year, the deserved love,
100%.
30,000 people tried to get into a 10,000 cap tent.
Yes,
like do the math.
That the days of bottling bands that we don't like, those really judgy days, I think those are behind us, and all power to it. Which brings us to our shortlist. So the list of bands that we have potentials for. Bring me. Tell you what, should we do this in order of what we actually think? So I think Rammstein is a shoo-in.
In fact, should we do, do you want to do each individual person's day split Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Right, so the bands that I have right now, I've got Rammstein, Bring Me, Sleep Token, Parkway, Evanescence, System of a Down, Nickelback, My Chem, with a very big question mark next to Linkin Park.
I'm pretty much in agreement with that. There were a couple of the bands I had on my list, but now that we've spoken about all of them, I'm looking at them going, yeah, no fucking chance. Like,
Who are they though, out of curiosity?
well, I had Paramore on there. Now we've spoken about it a bit more. Probably not. This was kind of, again, probably more a sub-headline, but they've headlined a lot of festivals in Europe, was Maneskin. I was thinking.
That's a curveball shout. Very good curveball shout, though.
Yeah.
So I think it was the last year they did Nova Rock as a headline slot, and I can't remember off the top of my head what other ones they did, but they've blown up the last few years as well.
They dropped out of Reading and Leeds last year, I think, didn't they? They were meant to play Reading and Leeds and dropped out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they have the profile in the UK. They're kind of known for the Eurovision band in the UK. And I know that the UK tends to be a lot more, what's the right word?
Opinionated.
And conservative with a small c than mainland Europe. Hence the huge popularity of symphonic metal in Europe. You know, but Britain tends to be a little bit more kind of
impress me.
Yeah. Like,
I wish we had that same taste as Europe, because a Nightwish or an Epic could, or maybe like a Within Temptation, I think could kill it.
Temptation, what a shout!
Well, then Sabaton played to, didn't they play to like 500,000 people in one go in Europe? Sabaton doing a headline slot. I mean,
tanks.
Again,
I can see it happening at Bloodstock first, but
they have done that at Bloodstock.
Oh shit! Yeah, no.
It was amazing.
Sorry,
The tank shooting fire on stage. It was absolutely fabulous. But I don't think, because of the British scene being the way it is, you know, and the media being the way it is, and all of us, you know, I don't think that kind of unabashed, cheesy, fun kind of band, I don't think that would quite be right for a main stage. And I include like Maneskin, you know, your Nightwishes, Within Temptations, your Sabatons.
I think Nightwish did do main stage in 2017, was it? 2016? I can't remember. I think there was sub-headliner.
Right. That would
unless I'm misremembering completely.
No. You've probably got that bang on. But regretfully, I don't see them, unless, you know, I'm completely wrong. And for everything that we're talking about today, I hold up my hands and go, I may have this completely and utterly wrong. And I'm totally fine if that's the case. But I can't particularly see Nightwish stepping up to that main headline slot.
I think, I am leaning to agree with you on that. If there was one symphonic metal band to do it, it would be Nightwish, hands down. I think they're the only one in that sort of vein of metal that could really headline download in the UK. But with just the way modern metal is going, it's falling a lot more into the metalcore side of things than the more symphonic side of things.
Yeah.
I'm like you, Edgy. I've got a bunch of bands on my list here that I thought, oh, maybe. But after we've been talking now, I'm looking through and I'm going, Lamb of God, no. Kill Switch, second stage headliner. They did a phenomenal job at Bloodstock the other year, but I can't see the main stage headlining. Ginger, their star has risen so much, but not to main stage headline.
Not a headline now.
Maybe it's even second stage, because the time I tried to see him in 2019, could not get anywhere near the Dogtooth stage. Nowhere near. And their star has only risen hugely since then. But I think this short list of bands, Rammers, Bring Me, Sleep Token, Parkway Drive, Evanescence, System of a Down, Nickelback, My Chem, with a big question mark next to Linkin Park.
There is one that I've literally just remembered, that whenever I've put this question out, either like on my Instagram story or on the radio, I get so many people suggesting this band, but the industry has never seen them as a band that could pull off this size set. But like, I was having a look at it. And again, if we're talking about a band who could also do a record in full as well, but like they've got the bangers for a full download headline set. It's just, firstly, whether they'd be good enough for it, because I've seen a couple of ropey shows of them. A Day to Remember. Like, it's so weird with them, man, because like you look at their set list, right? They could put together a 25 song set list, play for like 2 hours, and it be all killer, no filler. Like every single one of those tunes would be an absolute fucking hit. However, like I've seen so many just all right A Day to Remember gigs where it's like, yeah, they've had the CO2. Yeah, Jeremy's gotten in the Zor ball and run across the crowd. And like, yeah, they've set off like confetti blasts and that kind of stuff. But I've never left it going like, that's like a set of the weekend contender. It was just a solid festival, main stage afternoon festival kind of set. But then also, if you want to talk about the appeal of a band doing a record in full, if they were to do Homesick in full, like coming straight out, opening with the Downfall of Us All, then you got I Made a Wax Larry, Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End, title track, and ending on If It Means a Lot to You. Like that album in full would fill so many nostalgia hearts.
I agree with you on that one. I would love to see that. Now you've said that, I'm like, I really quite like that idea.
I think, again, they've got enough bangers to do it. I just, like the points we were saying for other bands earlier, I don't know if they'd sell the tickets, day tickets. Yeah. I think they'd kill it, but I don't think their name is big enough to attract that kind of mass audience.
Yeah. 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify as well. So like, yeah, they're within the ballpark of that, like Queens of the Stone Age. I can't remember who the other band was.
Ghost.
Ghost, yeah. Ghost. Yeah, like so they're like within that camp of having like the same group of monthly listeners. But yeah, like I agree with you, Edgy. It's like day ticket wise, how much a Day to Remember going to move the needle?
Yeah. So do we add them to the shortlist or not?
Nah, I think they're probably more of a
No, I'd say no. Yeah.
I would say main support, although I would go watch the shit out of them headlining the second stage. Again,
yeah, it's that as well.
Problem that I mentioned earlier, how the rock and metal world, we are blessed. It's a fortunate problem to have, you know. We are blessed to have so many bands that could rock the hell out of that second stage, playing to 20,000 there. It would be amazing. But that next step up to headlining the big stage where it's 60, 70, 80,000 there. It's a big step. So I don't think we add them to the list. So Bring Me, Sleep Token, Parkway, Rammers, Evanescence, System, Nickelback, My Chem, Linkin Park with a question mark. Personally, I would put Rammstein Friday night. They've played Friday night before and it was epic. I would want to put Nickelback with support from Creed on the Saturday night. And then I would put Sleep Token, I think, on that. Oh, is Sunday the right day for Sleep Token, though? No, I think if they were going to have a new headliner as well, it would be the Friday. In that case, no, I'm going to switch them. Sleep Token Friday, Nickelback Saturday, Rammers Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not far off that at all. Like, to me, that Sunday one's been interchangeable, but for me, like Friday night, like if you take the 20th anniversary where Metallica did it twice. Like if you take out the fact that it was that special occasion and Metallica wouldn't have done the two sets, that download would have been Bring Me Friday, Metallica Saturday, and Slipknot on the Sunday. And it's like, cool, that's one new headliner and two that you've trusted before in the past. So I like the idea of having that new young band having the Friday night headline slot, like whilst the young people are still like very fresh and very energetic as well. Because I think that's one of the reasons Bring Me worked so well on that Friday. Everyone was still very, very fresh. It's like mosh pit action was great. People were jumping up and down, like participating in anything that Ollie was getting them to do. Like give Vessel like that same head start as well. Give that Friday night Sleep Token, Saturday night Nickelback, and Sunday you can whack in whoever you want as like a legacy band. I said System of a Down, but yeah, you could throw in Rammstein. You like roll the dice on Korn, and I think as well something cool that Download have been holding on to is selling a USP of like 3 brand new headliners this year. Every single headliner has never played this festival before. I think that's a marketing tool that they're sat on, that they know they got up their sleeve, and it's just when do they want to use it?
Yeah, I think my choices for like the top for the 3. I think I'd have to start with My Chem on the Friday. Just it's a little emo in me that's remaining hopeful. So I'm just gonna start manifesting it. Originally, I had Parkway Drive as well on there, and I think I'm gonna replace that Ass Chatting with Nickelback on the Saturday, and then System on the Sunday. I think that's what I'm gonna lock in as my bet.
Wow! So we got 3 different vibes there, but there's a similar kind of vibe to all of our ideas there.
Nickelback on the Saturday.
I just don't think you could get better than that. Like Nickelback for a Saturday night, bringing all the bangers. You know they're going to bring all the fire. It would just be a fantastic Saturday night sing-along, the same way that Fall Out Boy was this year.
Yeah.
And Creed as main support as well, bro. You've like knocked that out the fucking park. It's like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. And I like, yeah, just throwing all of that. Like, give me Shine Down on the same day as well. I'd love like Shine Down, Creed, Nickelback. Yes, please.
That works. We've got a plan there. Andy Copping, please.
Listen up.
Listen up. The people want Nickelback.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
guys,
time.
this has been a lot.
It's time.
Thank you very much. If you want to check out all the links for the guys, I'm going to put all the links in the comments to Edgy's TikTok, to John's TikTok, all that kind of stuff. We've got it for Download 25. Let's see what Festival Silly Season actually brings.
Primordial Radio.